Greg Cazillo, Cazillo.com. As you see today, I'm in the studio. You guys have been asking a lot of questions about studio lighting and itching for me to do a video on some studio stuff. So here's the basics. That's what I'm going to go over today. Some of the equipment, the basics of your lighting, the basics of your setup, what you need, and how to grow as you get more equipment and as you get more experience. The first thing you need is your main light. This light over here is my primary source. It's the brightest light in the scene, most likely. So it's the one that's coming and falling on my face right now. That's going to be the one thing you need no matter what. You got to have that first light source. Now that first light source might not have to be a strobe. It could be window light. That could be your main light in a studio kind of a setting. But if you don't have window light, you got to add a strobe or some kind of an artificial light source in order to have light and have a picture. So that's number one. Number two is actually either a reflector, which we have here, and actually I have a gold side on this thing too, but for right now we'll just leave it on the white side. So that's probably your next step. Once you have one light, one strobe, one anything, then you're going to move on and you're going to have one of these. Okay, you're going to have a reflector to reflect some of that light back into the shadow side over on the opposite side of my face from the main light. Next step, and actually you can't see it, it's just off for the camera, and actually right behind the camera, which is where I almost always recommend that you keep it, is the fill light. All right, it's actually another strobe with an umbrella on it right next to the camera or right behind you, maybe a little bit up in the air, that kind of thing. So it's actually just off a little bit out of camera and a little higher is where that second light would go. Third light down there on the floor is to reflect on your background, which is something else you need. You need to think about your background. What do you want in it? What don't you want in it? You know, you might be doing this in your basement, or you might be doing it in your garage or something like that. And so you need to think about, well, you know, get rid of all that other stuff that's in there. This is a really nice muslin. It's actually on an automated track that'll lift it automatically. You don't need to get that fancy. You can just get a couple of stands in order to lift it and a frame just to put it on. They're real inexpensive. They're probably maybe 150 bucks, something like that. While I'm on that track, let's talk a little bit about stands and lights and that kind of thing. Now, when everybody starts on their kind of studio excursion, you know, get into studio lighting, they start out and they want to get the kits. All right, why don't I give you the kit right after this break? I'll show you where to get the kit that I suggest putting together instead of buying all those parts and pieces and stuff, or the kit that is going to end up not lasting you very long. So be right back with that kit stuff. So what's in your kit? Well, number one, you need a couple of stands, or at least one stand. All right, you need a light. You might already have your flash, or maybe you want to go to a mono light like this white lightning here. These are the heads that I recommend. You can get them, these are either these or Alien Bs for, I think, from about $250 up to about $600 a piece. But they're great heads. They've lasted me a long time. I've had these for probably 7 or 8 years, I think, and they've been awesome. Love these heads a lot. But again, I could do the same thing with an SB900 or an SB700. What it really comes down to is the modifiers, the softboxes and umbrellas. So make sure you check out the website, and I'll give you a list of individual items right on Amazon that you can go and pick up yourself, make your own kit, because it's going to be a much better way to go. You're going to have a good PhotoFlex softboxes and umbrellas and a really good reflector. And don't forget, you also need the reflector arm, this arm that actually holds this. You can just use a clamp or two, just like a Home Depot kind of a work clamp to hold it up. But this does make it a lot easier and a lot more flexible when I have the proper mounting system. Same with the background stuff. You can pick up your own backgrounds and pick your own background. Just start with a white or a black, or maybe just a solid color or something like that. But I'll also show you a good recommended set of PhotoFlex stands to be able to hold up your background and mount it, and it'll be done right, and also be safe. You got to think about that, everything being safe. One last thing is this little thing that I've been playing with here in my hands. This is an angle bracket, and on my heads they actually have a built-in angle bracket. When it goes onto the top of the stand, it mounts onto the top of the stand, and it already has this angled portion right here built in. All right, but when you have an SB900, SB700, something like that, it's not going to have that built in. It's just a solid flash, and that's it. So you need to pick up one of these too. And again, I'll have a link to this all on the website. You can head over to Kazillo.com, and I'll put the link right down here somewhere. I don't know. It'll definitely be in the description on YouTube, and you can click over to there, see all those recommended items, and put your own kit together rather than getting those crappy kits that have horrible lights and crappy umbrellas that are going to fall apart after a year. You're better off buying good equipment and being done, and you don't have to worry about it. So one more segment for you today. Let's talk a little bit about posing and the lighting setup a little bit more, and I'll show you how I do it. Before I get into the posing stuff, I realized that I should talk a little bit more about the differences and why you should upgrade to a set of monolights versus the SB900s and 700s, or one of the Canon flashes, or whatever it may be. The number one reason is power. These strobes have a lot more power. They can fill a really big softbox without problem. The 6-foot softboxes that I have, it is no problem to fill those with just a single light with one of the more powerful units. Now, they're also more flexible. I like these because they're infinitely adjustable. On the 700s, 900s, you have third stop increments, which is pretty good, but these you can probably get down by like 1/10 of a stop, just a tiny little bit, and adjust that amount of power down. All right, so those are two of the big reasons to step up, but you have to have electricity. They're not battery powered, so there's always pros and cons. I'm sure there's plenty of other reasons, but those are the two big ones: power and flexibility. Next, posing. So right now I'm posed towards the light. Well, you know what? First things first, let me stand up. So imagine I just came into the studio and I'm your model for the day, okay? First thing you're gonna do, you're gonna have all the equipment already set up. All right, everything's set up, everything's ready to go. When you come in the door, when the model comes in the door, they need to feel welcome. They need to feel relaxed. If you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off because your equipment isn't working, or you're fiddling with stuff, they are not going to be relaxed. All right, so it's got to be ready to go. So they walk in, and you have them sit down. Now, first thing I almost always do is make sure that they're not sitting on the stool like this. See how my whole butt is on the whole stool right here? Well, maybe you can't see the stool because of my big butt. But you want to sit on the edge of the stool. When they sit on the edge of the stool, they have a better posture, and it automatically kind of makes you sit up straighter. That's what you want. Now, main light is over here, and again, this is the basic setup. All right, this is your starting point. All right, for a basic headshot, a basic business headshot, a basic anything. This is where you start. All right, you have your main light over here. Then you have your fill light next to the camera, or your reflector right over here. Okay, to reflect some of that light back in. You want that fill light to be flat. Okay, then around the back side, I would actually move this light over to the middle right behind me. I'd moved it over so that you could see it, but I'd keep it in the middle and adjust it down so we have a good amount of flash. So that's our lighting position, and we're model sitting in the right spot. So first, we're going to start out by looking at turning the body towards the main light and bring the head this way. All right, we're going to look at the light on the mask of the face, find the position that is best for them. Maybe they need to turn this way a little bit. Maybe they need to turn this way a little bit. You know, it really depends. The next thing you got to think about is head position. Body position, then head position. All right, are we keeping the body here because it looks good, but then are we turning our head left to right? Are we going up and down? Or are we tilting this way? All right, those are all considerations, all good ways to change it up a little bit. Keep an eye on their hand position, that kind of thing. Make sure it's comfortable. Maybe you'll want to have them stand and change it around a little bit. But the basic one that I always start with is just this seated position. I'll go into those more advanced ones later on in another video. Next thing you need to do is flip them around to the other side and do the same thing again. All right, change the head position, turn up, down, left, right, tilt, all that good stuff. But do both sides, because here you have more of a body in shadow, whereas here the body is in light. So shoot both sides of that. Make sure you check out the website. I might have a few more tips for you over on the website that I might come up with after I'm finished doing this video, as well as my suggested studio photography kit. Greg Casillo, Casillo.com.